back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, hello, my name is Patience and I just make videos on whatever and whenever I want. So if you're seeing a video today, surprise! So today I really wanted to talk about me being an education major and what's it like being an education major at the illustrious North Carolina Central University. I'm going to break this up into like 3 parts. So I'm going to talk about the classes that I take, and then I'm going to talk about the education department overall, and then I'm going to talk about some of the classwork that I do and my books and just all that stuff, so you can just get a sense of what it's like to be an ed major. So first of all, I am a senior credit-wise, but it's only my 3rd year, so I'm a junior, and I am an English secondary education and psychology student, and I just want to focus on my English secondary education major because that's really what it's all here. What I'm here to talk about is the ed department. So with being an English secondary education major, I am literally an English major with an education concentration, which means that I take all English classes with supplementary education courses, and I get a teaching license at the end if, I meet all the requirements and yada, yada, yada. The first 2 years that I was here, my freshman and sophomore year, it was mostly general education classes and basic English classes. I took maybe 2 education courses, but yeah, it was a lot of English and literature and writing courses. You have to take about 4 writing intensive classes, which is like advanced composition and like academic writing and writing about literature and stuff like that. So then you understand how to write academic papers, and then also in an education standpoint, see what you should look for other students. So like grammar and punctuation and all that stuff. So you have to write a lot in these classes, but it's all to help you become a better teacher. In my freshman year, I took like English 1 and like African American literature and very basic stuff. In my sophomore year, I started taking education psychology and computer utilizations, which are courses that focus more on classroom management and just how to incorporate technology into your lesson planning every day in 21st century. Last semester, I took inclusive teaching, which helps you teach students with different learning needs. And it just helps you with jargon and 21st century practices and just scientifically based pedagogy and all that stuff, so you understand how to be an inclusive and just overall better teacher. All the education classes that I take are pretty much preparing you to teach and to also get into the task stream, folio tech, ed TPA, whatever you call it. They're just the education program. So with this, you have to take or do 8 to 12 field experience hours, which means that you go into either middle school, elementary school, and high schools and just observe them so you can kind of get a feel about it. The current classes that I'm taking are abnormal psychology, world literature 2, survey of English literature, women of color literature, and there's one other, American literature. Yes, so those are all the classes that I'm taking. They are reading intensive because it is literature based, and it kind of helps you understand how to read more of the harder books and novels. So like the manuscripts and the manifestos and the old English letters. So then when you get into the classroom, they have to learn how to read this test, especially in North Carolina, English 2, they'll have to read and pass these exams. Like I said, everything is here to prepare you. Even though it might be a lot of work, it still is good for you to know how to do. So just like to recap, since I am an English secondary education, I do have my English courses and then I have my education courses. And it's kind of just like flip-flops kind of with what I do sometimes, or it will overlap and I'll take half English, half ed, and then a little bit of psych for my, second major. And that's really all my classes that I have taken and what they're like. So I'm gonna do an overview of the education department. So with the ed department in the School of Education at NCCU, you have to observe all 3 grade levels, so elementary, middle grades, and high school. So then you can understand that whatever major that you selected is the major for you. I used to be an elementary education major. When I started doing my field observations, I realized that, elementary education is not really for me, and that I really was able to connect with the high schoolers in Durham. So I decided to do English secondary education instead. So for the first 2 years, you're pretty much getting your requirements ready to get into the School of Education. And then after you meet all those requirements, as in like your general education and your credits, you have to take the Praxis 2. If your SAT and ACT scores are high enough, you are exempt from the Praxis 2 and you're automatically admitted into the education program. Well, after you apply for it. So I was put into it after I applied. I didn't have to take the Praxis 1 because my SAT and ACT scores were high enough. So I was admitted into the education program, and in my senior year, I'll have to do student teaching, which half of the time you're observing, the other half you're actually teaching, and you spend most of your day at the school. You teach a couple classes a week, and yeah, it's pretty much like having a teaching job without the pay, obviously, because you're not certified, but it's to make sure that you understand how to teach courses and you understand what it's like to stand in front of a group of 16-year-olds or a group of 5-year-olds or a group of students with diverse needs. This whole spectrum of kids, you learn how to teach them. So when you get into the classroom, you aren't just standing there like, I don't know what to do. You're ready. You're ready to become the teacher you need to be. And with that, you do get observed. You have to upload your lesson plans, upload documents, do video recordings, and you also get observed and assessments. And then at the end of the student teaching part, you have to take your Praxis 2, which certifies you as a teacher. You get your diploma and you get your certificate, and you can start working into the education field. So NC Central, we use TaskStream. We used to use Foliotech, but they just recently switched. And with that, that's where you upload all your documentation, your lesson plans, and your videos and assessments for when you student teach. I haven't student teached. I haven't done my student teaching yet, but when I do, I can definitely make a video about that and just show you what it's like to be actually in the classroom and being a teacher. Additionally, as an English secondary education student, I have 2 advisors or mentors. So I have a faculty mentor for my education department who used to be my an academic advisor for elementary education, but she just became my mentor who I do research with. I go to her when I need like recommendations or just to talk or anything. We have like a good connection. And then I have my academic advisor who's specifically for English secondary education students, who makes sure that I get all my education courses good and my English courses good, and I'm just ready to graduate on time with everything that I need, as well as becoming a liaison with my psychology advisor, who all just make sure I am meeting all the requirements for all my majors, for all my schools, and I can get the heck out of here. So that's really an overview of the education department. Now I'm just going to show you guys a little bit of what my coursework is like for all my education and English courses. So this was for my inclusive teaching course, and this assignment was just to make a slideshow about inclusive teaching and co-teaching, as if it was an open house for inclusive students, the parents of inclusive students. And what I just did some research on UDL, differentiation, all that, and then I had to do a voiceover of the presentation as if I was at the open house. This is a lesson plan that I created based off the Odyssey, and it's for 10th graders. And I just did an in-depth thing about the Odyssey. We had examples, supports, grouping strategies, all that, and then just like assessment tools. And I just had to turn this in, and this prepared me for EdTPA and just uploading everything into task stream. So by the time I get to my student teaching, I understand how to use the system and to put everything into the format that they will want for me when I actually start to student teach. So this is a discussion post that I had to write for my world literature course. I had to read 2 books, 6 Records of a Floating Life by Shin Fu and Greater Learning for Women by Ekin, and just connect the two. And yeah, just write a page about it and then post it to Blackboard and then have people respond to it, and I respond to other people. And yeah. So this was an assignment that I had to do for Paul Laurence Dunbar in my African American literature course. I read about him and did some background information, talked about certain poems and the Harlem Renaissance era, and just talked about his literature and all this stuff just so I could understand who Paul Laurence Dunbar is. These English courses also help me come up with ideas for my classes when I actually get into the teaching field. And yeah, I really enjoyed this project because I like learning about African American authors and poets, and it was just really interesting to learn more about Paul Laurence Dunbar. So this last assignment was a case study for my inclusive teaching class again, and what I really had to do was take the scenario, answer the questions, do the activities in them. I had about 3 case studies that I had to do for this semester. And yeah, I just had to watch videos, incorporate that, just do this whole overview of the class and this is the case study, and answer the questions, all that good stuff, just so then I can understand the classroom on a scenario basis. So that's really all that I have for you guys today. If you have any more questions about Central or the English Education Department, or what it's like to actually be an English education student or double majoring, or whatever you have, to ask about college in general, please comment down below, and also like and subscribe so you can see more content like this. If you want to know more about NCCU, or like I said, anything of those questions, make sure you comment and share this video with anybody who is maybe deciding if they want to come to Central for education. I can tell you, I really love the School of Education. Most of the professors are really, really nice. They're very, very helpful. I haven't met anybody who was like overtly mean or whatever. I've been able to form a lot of connections with some of my professors. Some of them are actually my sorority sisters, which I really think is pretty cool. And I just, overall just love the School of Education, and I love teaching students and just helping the future. So let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll see you next time. Bye.